The grand hall of Thornwood Manor in Aspen, Colorado, echoed with cruel laughter as Lucas Vance descended the staircase. His suit, a symbol of extreme wealth, drew only mocking laughter from the assembled elite. "Look who graced us," Dominic Thorne whispered to his guests, raising a champagne flute. "Our dear cleaner, Lucas." Lucas, 35, a black man of quiet dignity, never imagined stepping into such a ballroom as a guest. For 2 years, he'd meticulously cleaned this mansion, always invisible, always silent, watching elites treat him like furniture. The invitation, a clear trap, arrived 3 days earlier. "Charity gala on Saturday," Dominic said, handing him the gilded envelope. "Dress code, maximum elegance. You must have something suitable, mustn't you?" His friend's snickers filled the air. Dominic had even invited social reporters to document an educational moment. "Let's make a bet," Dominic challenged his wife Sophia as Lucas polished silverware. $200,000. He won't have the nerve. If he does, he'll be the evening's entertainment. Sophia giggled. "You're wicked, Dominic. He'll probably flee in 15 minutes. But Dominic Thorne didn't know 2 things about Lucas Sterling. First, Lucas had grown up in grander halls. Second, some storms don't destroy, they just teach you how to dance in the rain. As Lucas moved through the hall under mocking glances, he kept his posture straight, his gaze serene, like someone guarding secrets that could unravel this world. His steps were measured. "My God, he actually came," whispered Amelia Vance, a judge's wife. "And look how he's dressed." "He probably rented it," replied Oliver Maxwell, masking insecurity. How pathetic. What none knew was Lucas hadn't bought or rented that suit. He'd simply reached back into his past, a past Dominic would erase if he'd known. Dominic approached, chest puffed out, flanked by cronies. His confidence was sky-high. He'd orchestrated this as a public display of power. "Lucas, what a delightful surprise. When a person like you receives an invitation to an event like this—" "A person like me," Lucas repeated, his calm voice cutting like sharp steel. "Go on, Dominic, finish your sentence." Dominic hesitated, sensing a quiet strength, but arrogance reasserted itself. "Well, someone who doesn't normally frequent this environment. You must be quite intimidated by all this elegance." Lucas smiled, dangerously serene, making guests cease laughter. "Intimidated," he repeated softly, eyes locking with Dominic's. "No, Dominic. I'm feeling exactly where I've always belonged." The atmosphere shifted. Lucas defied all their expectations. Dominic cleared his throat. "I hope you enjoy the evening. I'm sure it will be educational for you." "Oh, I'm sure it will be educational for all of us," Lucas replied, his gaze sweeping the guests. "This story has twists and justice." What these privileged people didn't know was that Lucas carried a secret so explosive it would transform this night of planned humiliation into the greatest lesson Aspen had ever witnessed. Dominic was having more fun than imagined. Lucas hadn't fled. He remained with that confident posture that irritated Dominic. "Everyone," Dominic announced loudly, "I'd like to introduce our special guest tonight, Lucas, our dedicated cleaning man." Laughter rippled. Phones flashed. "Dominic," Sophia murmured, "don't you think you're being cruel?" "Cruel?" Dominic laughed. "I'm giving him the opportunity of a lifetime." Lucas stood motionless. Instead of embarrassment, his expression held a disconcerting serenity, as if he'd weathered far worse storms. Amelia Vance approached. "Lucas, dear, how long did it take you to choose that suit? Challenging, I imagine." Actually, Lucas replied calmly, this suit has a very special history. It belonged to my father. His father? Oliver Maxwell scoffed. Where'd he get a suit like that? Lucas smiled, a dangerous glint in his eyes. My father wore this suit the last time he was in a ballroom like this. That was 20 years ago when he was still Lucas Sterling Thorne. Silence deafened the hall. Dominic, chuckling, turned slowly. What did you say? Sterling Thorne? Lucas repeated, voice cutting. It's funny how some people conveniently forget their own family history. Dominic's face drained. Sophia gripped his arm. You're delirious, Dominic said, less firmly. This isn't a game, Dominic. Lucas stepped toward him. It's history. Our history. The history you tried to erase when you decided it was more convenient to pretend certain people in our family never existed. Cameras recorded for a different reason. Whispers spread. Sophia pulled Dominic's arm. What's he talking about? He's lying, Dominic retorted, trembling. He's a deranged employee. Lucas pulled out an object that made guests gasp. The traditional Thorne family pocket watch, engraved with a crest and a deep emerald. This watch, Lucas said, holding it up, was given to my father by his father, Sebastian Thorne. My grandfather, the man you told your children died without an heir. Dominic was visibly shaken. Where did you get that? How dare you steal? Lucas laughed humorlessly. Dominic, you can't steal something that is rightfully yours by birthright. Amelia Vance whispered, My God, do you think he's telling the truth? Impossible, Oliver murmured. Dominic would have told us if he had a cousin. Lucas heard him. Cousin? No, dear, I'm not Dominic's cousin. He paused, looking directly at Dominic. I'm his half-brother. The room exploded in murmurs. Dominic looked struck by lightning. This is ridiculous, he shouted, voice cracking. My father would never. You're making this up. Your father, Sebastian Thorne, had an affair with my mother, Eleanor Sterling. For 5 years, Lucas continued. She was the family's landscape architect. When she found out she was pregnant, your father promised to take care of us, and he kept his promise until he died. Sophia stared between Lucas and Dominic. You, Dominic, Lucas said, pointing, decided it was easier to pretend we never existed. You cut off our allowance, sold my mother's property, and left us in absolute poverty. I had no obligation to, Dominic began. You had no obligation to take care of your father's family. Interesting philosophy, considering you inherited 100% of a fortune that should have been divided between us. Guests moved away from Dominic. Prove it, Dominic said desperately. Anyone can make up a story and come up with a watch. Lucas smiled predatorily. Oh, Dominic, do you really think I came here without proof? He motioned to the entrance. They can come in now. Each humiliation fueled Lucas. Dominic's contempt was writing his own sentence. Lucas had spent 20 years learning exactly how to collect a debt that transcended money. 3 people entered. Brenda Hayes, investigative journalist. Dr. Anya Sharma, forensic toxicologist. The third made Dominic stagger. Mr. Peterson, Sophia murmured, recognizing the family lawyer. Mr. Peterson, who handled Sebastian Thorne's estate, walked to the center. His voice was steady, despite shaking hands. 20 years ago, I was coerced into signing a falsified will. Sebastian Thorne did not die of natural causes. He was slowly poisoned with thallium over months. The hall erupted in gasps. Brenda Hayes raised her hand. Please, keep your phones silent. This is an official confession being recorded for legal purposes. Dominic, sweating, shouted, "You're crazy, Peterson. My father died of a stroke." "Your father found out about the offshore accounts and millions you siphoned," Mr. Peterson continued. "He'd changed his will to include Lucas and was about to report you when he started showing strange symptoms." Lucas remained silent, tears of relief in his eyes. Finally, someone was telling the truth. Dr. Anya Sharma opened her briefcase. "This hair sample from Mr. Thorne's last known belongings was tested last week. The thallium levels were fatal." "You're making this up," Dominic shouted, uncontrolled. "It's a conspiracy to ruin me." Brenda Hayes stepped forward. "Mr. Thorne, I have transcripts of 5 recorded calls between you and Mr. Peterson where you threatened to disbar him." Lucas finally spoke, cutting through the chaos. "Dominic, you didn't just kill our father. You stole 20 years of my life." "I didn't kill anyone," Dominic pointed wildly. "You're all lying." "Then explain this," said Lucas, connecting his phone to the sound system. A recording played. Dominic's voice was unmistakable. "Peterson, you're going to keep your mouth shut about anything unusual. If you open your mouth, you'll never practice law again. And as for that woman and her bastard son, they'll have to fend for themselves." Silence. Even Dominic's former defenders shunned him. Sophia stared at her husband in horror. "Dominic, you really did this." 20 years, Lucas cried, composure breaking. 20 years of cleaning my own father's blood off the hands of his killer." He regained his calm. "How did I get this evidence? I applied specifically for this position. I spent 2 years preparing, gaining access, collecting evidence." Dominic tried one last desperate gambit. "Even if all that's true, it changes nothing. The inheritance was distributed years ago." Mr. Peterson smiled. "Actually, Mr. Thorne, with evidence of murder, all assets can be redistributed according to the original will. We have a copy of Sebastian Thorne's actual will, witnessed separately just weeks before his death." Lucas approached Dominic, who leaned against the wall. "Do you know what my biggest mistake was, Dominic? Believing you would change on your own." "Please," Dominic whispered. Arrogance evaporated. "Sophia, the children, this will destroy our family. You destroyed our family the moment you chose money over justice." Dominic collapsed, defeated. His transformation from arrogant billionaire to exposed criminal took less than 2 hours. Lucas looked at Dominic. He was broken, but this was only the beginning. Dominic didn't realize Lucas had spent years gathering evidence about his father's death and his financial crimes, blackmail, and corruption, weaving a web of justice so meticulous his downfall would be spectacularly complete. The next 2 hours transformed Aspen's gala into Colorado's biggest live scandal. Dominic sat on the ballroom floor, watching his life unravel. Brenda Hayes projected documents, photos, and recordings. "This is a bank transfer of $500,000 from Dominic Thorne's account to Mr. Peterson," Brenda narrated. "Legal fees for absolute discretion." Sophia cried, processing 20 years of lies. "And this," Brenda continued, "is a recording of Dominic talking to his CFO about hiding company embezzlement." Dominic's voice echoed. "Make the numbers sing. If anyone finds out I've funneled 50 million, I'm ruined. Blame offshore investments, whatever." Mr. Peterson approached Lucas. "Mr. Thorne, Mr. Sterling is filing a $100 million civil suit for wrongful death and misappropriation of inheritance." $100 million? Dominic looked up, glazed. "I don't have 100 million. "No," Lucas said softly, "but Thorne Industries is worth 250 million, and half has always been mine." Brenda Hayes continued. We also have evidence Dominic blackmailed 3 state senators, bribed 2 federal judges, and diverted millions from the Thorne Family Charity Foundation. Guests gasped, moving away from Dominic. "Lucas," Dominic begged, broken. "Please, stop this." Lucas knelt. "Dominic, you killed our father. You stole my family, my inheritance, my dignity. You made me clean his blood off your hands for 2 years." "I can make it up to you," Dominic whispered. "There is no making up for 20 years of injustice," Lucas replied calmly. "But there are consequences." Sophia's phone rang. Her child asked, "Mom, is Dad a murderer?" Sophia glared at Dominic. "Your own children are finding out what kind of monster you are." Dominic tried to stand, legs giving way. "Sophia, please, the children." "No," Sophia screamed. "You've shamed them forever." Dr. Anya Sharma approached Lucas. "Mr. Sterling, I've contacted the Aspen police. Dominic will be arrested today for murder." "Murder? Fraud? Blackmail? Tax evasion?" Lucas confirmed. "He will spend the rest of his life in prison." Lucas turned to the guests. "I didn't do this for revenge. I did this for justice for all people trampled on by men like Dominic Thorne." Amelia Vance hesitated. "Lucas, we're so sorry." "You knew I was treated like a subhuman," Lucas replied. "You laughed. You participated. The only difference is that now you have more money than you." Sirens echoed outside. The police arrived. Dominic looked at Lucas one last time. "You've destroyed my life." "No," Lucas said, standing with dignity. "You destroyed your own life the moment you chose evil. I just made sure the truth came out." As police led Dominic away, Lucas walked onto the balcony. Reporters waited. The story had spread. Sophia approached him. "Lucas, I genuinely didn't know." "I know," Lucas said gently. "You were also a victim. What now?" Lucas looked out at the city. "Now, Sophia, justice will be served. And maybe Aspen will learn that class has nothing to do with a bank account." As Dominic was led away, Lucas felt a peace he hadn't felt in 20 years. Dominic would soon discover Lucas had planned his downfall and the rebuilding of his own life. The Thorne Empire had a new heir who would protect the kind of people Dominic used to trample on. 6 months later, Lucas Sterling Thorne sat in Dominic's former renovated office. Walls displayed community project certificates and photos of promoted employees. Dominic was sentenced to 25 years without parole for murder, corporate fraud, blackmail, and tax evasion. His fortune was confiscated. "Mr. Sterling Thorne," said Jasmine, his new assistant. "Forbes magazine is here." Lucas smiled. In 6 months, he'd increased profits by 40% by treating employees humanely. Fair wages, merit promotions, and respect. Sophia divorced Dominic. She apologized to Lucas. "You protected my children. I won't forget your generosity." "Children don't pay for parents' sins," Lucas replied. "They deserve to be better." Mr. Peterson now consulted for the company, offering free legal aid. "You taught me it's never too late to find our dignity," he told Lucas. Amelia Vance and Oliver Maxwell tried to reach out, but Lucas kept them distant. "You laughed when I was inferior. Now you want my friendship because of my bank account. That says everything." Lucas's story went viral. He declined speaking invitations, preferring real work. "I don't want to be famous for suffering," he explained. "I want to be known for what I built afterward." The company sponsored scholarships, microcredit, and a mental health support fund. One afternoon, Lucas received a letter from Dominic in prison. "Lucas, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but you taught me I was a monster. My children asked about you. They want to meet the uncle who protected the family when their father failed. Lucas kept the letter without replying. Forgiveness was personal, but justice was served. The Forbes journalist asked, "Some say your revenge was too cruel. What do you say?" "Revenge would have been to do to him what he did to me," Lucas replied. "Justice is ensuring he pays for his crimes and that others don't suffer what I suffered. There's a fundamental difference." "And your advice to people facing similar injustices?" Lucas looked out at employees having lunch. "The best revenge is not to destroy those who hurt you. It is to build something so great that the injustice you suffered becomes only the first chapter in a story of triumph." That night, Lucas returned home. No longer to his small apartment, but to a comfortable house where he'd adopted 2 foster children who, like him, needed a second chance. He thought of Sebastian Thorne. His father would be proud that his son not only recovered what was stolen but turned a company built on exploitation into a symbol of opportunity and dignity. Lucas's real victory wasn't dethroning Dominic. It was proving that power built on justice multiplies and benefits everyone. Dominic tried to humiliate a cleaner and underestimated an adversary. He discovered that dignity cannot be bought, inherited, or stolen. It is earned through the choices we make when no one is looking.